Hello. Hello. I'm getting some things together here, so I thought I'd give you a green lotus on the screen here. Good old green lotus on the screen while I get my act together and people join in here. Yeah. I'm really happy with myself right now because I'm realizing the quality that I'm streaming in live, and it's 1080p for you tech geeks out there, and it's been working lately. It's even going to get better down the line. So, welcome as I get things ready here with some programming. You will say hi to me in chat, will you? Will you do that? Will you do that? And while I get things together to get ready for presidential debate, jeez, we really need this right now. Come on, man. What we need is, instead of a presidential debate live, they should have like a breathing, meditative, humpback whale sounds broadcasted live. You know what I'm saying? Just to relax. Let's do it again. Yeah, that's what we should have going on here. Is humpback whale sounds instead of a presidential debate. And it should be from the more watery realm of things. Okay, so let's get to my face. Hey, how's it going? Completely out of the blue, this stream. I've been looking at the chart this week for the presidential debate and looking at a couple things and then forgetting about it and then not caring and that kind of thing. But hey, just for the drama of it all, we we should take. I got dolphin shit coming out of my stream. I need a cast of characters. There should be animal people that come in here, animal beings like that. Dolphins, just like you'd rather play and swim in Piscean moon waters than listen to a presidential debate. But that's what we're going to be subjected to tonight. If you don't have to watch this, but the energy, the instigation's going to be there. And, that's what's up. So we'll take a look at things. My lighting is weird today. Oh, 11T. It is going to be a lot of meme comments. This is all it's going to be, unfortunately. There isn't going to be a communicative discourse to dissect whether someone was standing by policy and breaking it down and what they represent. It's all clips that will be put into 5-second reel clips on TikTok by both parties and manipulated by everyone else that follows them, and it's just more garbage. And that is kind of sums up this year, I think, in the debates, even without me having to look at charts yet. That it's not what it used to be. It's always been a spectacle. So, this goes back actually to a very famous debate that happened between Nixon and John F. Kennedy way back 60s. And it was one of the major televised first debates. And there's a famous thing you can look up because Richard Nixon kind of refused to put makeup on or a certain look, and then there's Kennedy, who is younger. So from the entertainment point of view, from the way messages were projected through millions of TV screens, which was still a new thing to do back then with debates, it didn't matter in a sense what was said. It was quickly what was seen in a young, vibrant candidate versus a Nixon candidate who looked a grumpy ass on camera and wasn't coming through the contrast of TV back then, and it lost him the presidency. It's one of the major factors when you talk to people in history, that presidential debate, the appearance of it. Now, so much has happened since then about how debates have been put in the media. And before we got into the internet and this stuff and the debate committees that just really manipulate the debate situation, hell, there's been no Democratic debate, any front runners against Biden. We would normally have primary season. We would normally have people going against Biden in a debate from the Democratic end. There's been none of this. There was a little bit, I think, whenever it was last year or whatever on the Republican end. But the discourse itself and the debate itself is just turned into a homogenized thing. And it is basically going to be cut up into mutable clips and memes. So James Sanders, good to see you in chat. Stephanie King, good to see you. Thanks for joining in. Hey Sam, what's going with the flow? So I don't want to spend too long today with this. I'd like to just crank this out and see what the lighting is when I change this. That's brighter. It's almost, that's probably better for you all. So yeah, that's what's up. Okay, so let's jump in. And before I do and pull up charts on the screen, let me get something here. I need something that's going to, is it this? Yeah, let's get my peace of mind with the birds. Yeah, that's good. Or I'm in Taurus nature, water nature, and with Taurus. I mean, why do I want to talk about the debates if I could just listen to the birds? So much better than the debate. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. All right. Hey, there's a chart. There's a chart for you. There's a chart. It's 9 p.m. Eastern time. Atlanta, Georgia is the chart here. First thing I thought when I looked at this chart for tonight in the presidential debate was 9 p.m. Eastern, and I'm like, those two are in their late 70s, early 80s. That's when they're going to sleep usually, right? It's like how are their brains going to be working at 9 p.m. Eastern? Okay, so that's that's what came up in my brain the first thing I looked. I'm thinking about how I am at 9 o'clock. It just depends on what's going on. I'm just thinking about people that I know in their late 70s, early 80s, how they are at 9 o'clock p.m. And so anyway, that's what's happening. James Sanders, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, buddy, that's a good way to start the debate and things. And we'll hit you in here, man. We'll hit you in with some hearts and laughter and party and 100%. And then there's this like whatever emoji here that is, I don't know what that is. So, hey, Mackenzie, what's up? Welcome to chat. James, thanks for the super chat, my friend. Thank you. And for that, I think for that super chat, you're going to get some whale squeaking. Let's see if this works. There you go. All right, so let's be 9 o'clock. This happens. Okay, so you know what? Capricorn rising is when it happens. This debate. We go look to Saturn in a chart, and it's in Pisces. What is Pisces ruled by? It's good old Jupiter and Gemini. And what is Gemini ruled by? The moon or Mercury in Cancer. And what's Cancer ruled by? The Pisces moon. And that's where we're going tonight. There's a cardinal energy in the chart. And that's great, right? That's stability, Saturn. We're talking about the control and structure and who's the authority on things. I get it, but Saturn's in Pisces, and the moon here is right in between it all. So this is going to be happening all till next year, moon going through Saturn and Neptune on a certain 2.5 days whenever it goes through in the month. But I find it fascinating here because Saturn and Neptune are pretty much stationary, and they're already stationing retrograde. Saturn stations retrograde officially on Saturday, next Tuesday on the 1st, Neptune stations retrograde. And here is the moon. Now, I'm going to ask for your feedback because I have my opinions. I'll bust this on screen. This is another way to look at charts really quick. You could see here, at least for basic stuff, that the Mercury in Cancer and the moon in Pisces are trining each other when this starts. You have an interesting Saturn trine that's happening with Mercury. We're coming out of that, and then applying a trine with Venus that's happening in the chart. You got Uranus exactly sextiling the moon in Pisces, earth and water. That's the basic stuff. Now, some of the squares you see here have to do with the nodes in Venus. I'll point that out in a second. But it's funny. You don't see any Jupiter aspect here per se, right? Like tight aspect. You see it with the node. But I'm just pointing that out, okay? So that's what's up there. And let's point it out in this realm that you see Mercury here in Cancer connecting with the moon. Lots of water tonight. It'll be interesting to see where this ends up. There's not going to be that much depth in this thing. We already know that. But I think that when it comes to safety and security of the Cancer story, and even what happens with story of water signs in general, of like what happens coming out of mind into body, into an emotional space and realms, which we've been surfing here since last week and a half now, that I think for the country and for what it is, we'll see if anybody touches upon like giving the public reassurance in the future of the country or what's going to come up. Now, that's the first thing I thought of. Mackenzie in chat says, what if they both cry? Yeah. You have some Pluto and Leos on stage. Two white men who come from whatever. And both cry. But I will tell you something here. Joe Biden is notorious for emotional breakdowns in public, crying, not in debates, not in like situations like this, but like in other situations that deal with like togetherness and family, he'll cry on the spot. The dude, he's a weeper, man. Like I've seen it happen many times actually. So just saying that. Hey, T. Alexander, what's up? How's it going? Sam in chat says 7th house planets. Curious if they're going to discuss the Israel-Palestine conflict. Okay, I think that's inevitable. That's a gimme that's going to come up. And part of the reason is, I think, because I've been thinking about this, was actually everything in Cancer and in Capricorn and in Cardinal that is in this chart. And the reason is because when things got set off last October, when we were dealing with the eclipses back then and the stuff that popped off in the Middle East, we were dealing with Mars and Aries in that situation on the South Node. And when I think Mars and Venus in cardinal signs, this year we've had major things come up whenever they've crossed the degrees here in cardinal signs. They've come to publicly, or there's been another bombing, something that happened in the UN. When it comes to Israeli-Palestine, I'm just going to call it straight up debacle, okay? Because that whole thing is just, it sucks. So anyway, my opinion, but other thing I thought about here that Sam is bringing up, 7th house, but I'm saying from the perspective of cardinal planets, that they're hitting the spaces and degrees of this, okay? If we go back to October 7th, the time when this popped off of last year, I think Mars was at 27, 28, or it was close to the node. We have Venus and Mercury in cardinal signs here, and here's Mercury dealing with safety and security, also with protection. And what that means with Cancer protection, I think, of protecting the home, protecting the mainland, protection of tough mama bear kind of stuff that can happen, and the speech and the words that come through here. Now, they, again, a watery situation here, which leads me to why I was looking at this, like leading to Capricorn ascendant, Saturn rules it, Jupiter and Gemini, and I kept going. And I actually think that there will be more confusion that comes out of this situation after the debate. I'm gonna actually say that there's some oh, this is a gimme. This is not a surprise. It's some sort of manipulative thing that comes out that is switched up. It already happens now. They're gonna take a sentence out of Biden, something he says somewhere, and change the photo angle, and it's gonna make him look like he didn't know what he was talking about. I even seen people on the other end of this with the Democratic propaganda machine do this from the Trump angle. Well, he's a really easy target because, let's be honest, he's always, words are leaking out in all fucked up kind of ways. So anyway, be interesting to see right now. Now, from the thing that has been talked about on both ends, you've had one side of the party say Joe Biden can't even stay awake and he can't even talk. Okay. You have the other end of Trump mishandling his words all the times, and both parties have been using this against each other on social media and in the campaign. Okay. So out of anything to look at is the actual speech and the actual voice influctuations and pauses and seeing if people are aware. Now, this happens regardless of age. Sometimes people are up on stage. It gets funky, right? Just in general. But we're dealing with technology. People are reading off the teleprompters. We'll see what happens tonight with this just basic Jupiter and Gemini ruled by Mercury and Cancer and a Pisces moon that's ruling the whole thing. And so we got water all over the place and it's leaking all over the place. So anyway, there's that. There's more I could say. Please jump in the chat. You can say whatever you want. The other thing we're going to notice here, and it was interesting, I was thinking about this the last couple of days about the moon squaring the nodes. It already squared them officially. I don't know. I thought it was interesting today to wake up to Sam Reynolds. He put a video up on his YouTube and Instagram talking about Venus at the bendings and what that means. I thought that was interesting. I don't know if he thought about the presidential debate at all, because that's what I was looking at when I looked at this chart even last Sunday when I was on the stream really quick. But Venus squaring the nodes and squaring the nodes that were there last year, and the conflict happens, everything. So again, this is where the value systems come into play with Venus. And also too, that from the appearance end, how does Venus show herself in Cancer just physically and on the camera, and along with Mercury here? So again, emotional impassioned speeches that come from a deep past. Will we hear a past story of, I know Biden's actually notorious for this. Not notorious, but he's always talking about where I come from. I came from this. My parents were that. I grew up in Scranton. I did this. Where he's come from. Now, a lot of what he does on that end comes from that, and we'll pull up his chart in a second. And Trump, you never really hear him talk about where he is from the past and where he comes from. As in the being proud of where he comes from, right? Never hear this stuff. Never hear about, I'm proud because my mom did this or my dad did this, right? And what family is in that sense. He'll do family in another way, mentioning his kids sometimes, but not like Biden. Biden is whole thing, PR-wise and in real world. In the end, when you see and read stories about him, it is always based, first and foremost, on his family and his history with it and everything that he's been through. And the dude actually has been through a lot with his family, a lot of loss. Okay, so just point this out from the memory and past Cancer end of things, right? So, so Holly, good to see you in chat. And let's just pop this up. So here we'll start with Biden here, and just to point it out of what we're talking about. These are legit birth times, supposedly. They're pretty much A-rated, right? So you can see Trump's chart and this chart. I'm weird about the Biden thing. I'm like, it's pretty good. It's 8:30 here, and we're all weird as astrologers when we see things falling at 8:15, 8:30, 9 o'clock even. It's like, But, nothing drastically changes here within minutes. I mean, he's got 3-degree ascendant. It could change within a quick, bigger point of time, but Sag rising here. But he's 12th house sun and a lot of Scorpio. And this is where I mentioned with Biden and his past and his tears and his open affection that he has. And you'll see him do this. You'll see him, kiss his relatives, his son, like this whole thing. And I've seen it publicly when it's hit a certain note, him shed a tear. Not in politics, but something else. But he's got a wide open 12th house story going on. And Mercury being very close to his sun, it kind of gets to the essence of things. And it's kind of, I think the boundaries get interesting and funky with him, okay? Just with certain things. Now, the other thing I want to point out is, I don't know if you knew this about Joe, but he struggled as a young person with stuttering. And it's been a major story in his life. He talks about it. As a matter of fact, whenever he's on the campaign trail, he goes out, he's always going to, there's people who show up at his situations or whatever who are families who have kids who stutter, and he always takes the time and he brings it backstage and he talks to them, gives them a pep talk. I was like you know, this and that, this is what I did. He gets their phone numbers, he has conversations with them over the months, and to help them because of what he'd been through as a young person with stuttering. And sometimes you catch it with him, but it's not bad, but you catch it. But I just want to point out that his Saturn in Gemini is sitting over there, and it's ruled by this Mercury here, okay, and in the 12th house. So you could see why the stuttering happens. It's just kind of, it's a chronic situation. It has been. He had to come to terms with it, get training, whatever. Also, there's other things, too, I've seen him do in the past when he was younger and now, where he'll just say something, and Mars is sitting there in Scorpio, and it will be ruthless. And I think times where he's regretted what he said impulsively on the fly in a scorpionic manner that it could just be, I've seen it happen. Again, we have a Venus Sun person here, and so we're just I'm pointing out the water, and I'm pointing out this right here, okay? So Mercury now in the sky, and let's just do it. And I see a comment about his boundaries with children. I've seen shit like this, okay? Again, I'm not going to get into this, but if you go see how he acts with his kids, he's one of these parents that like will kiss them on the face, kiss them on the lips. He's one of these people. I ain't going to play no judgment game right now about whatever else, because you could go on both of these people with stuff like that. But I'm just saying, he's got a history with his family of the way he deals with affection. Okay, so anyway, it's kind of interesting because it's all falling into Cancer talk, like Cancer archetypes. So let me do something here. Here is the debate chart on his thing, and we'll just go really quick. But you could see here that Mercury is close to his Jupiter right here. Okay, we know that pretty much Venus in the sky tonight is trining his Mars. Mercury is exactly trining his Mercury, and so on and so forth. Gemini is in this world over here that does, in a sense, really close to his Saturn. So out of anybody tonight that I think, well, we're talking possibilities. Give me a second, I'm thinking. And I'm hearing something in the background. Okay, is in one way, it's advantageous for him, the transits of this, right? Now, it just depends. Did he eat enough? Is he awake? The fact that we have to fucking think like this is weird, but it's true. But I just want to point these water connections out on the chart. And we can also see that the transiting Pisces stuff and the Saturn is exactly on the bottom of his chart and opposing the top of his chart. This is complete setup about the foundations of the country, about what it is as a family, as the country, as all that. I'm curious to see what the prepared messaging will be when he starts off and says something. Fine, we're going to get in a debate, and then Trump's going to interrupt him. I don't know the format of who's relegating this shit, but you know Trump just jumps in and says shit, right? And interrupts people. But in general, I'm curious about the beginning messaging that's going to come out here, and if it's in a water foundational place that has to do with safety and security, Capricorn rising on the debate chart when we start, and in his case, is hitting most of the water and touching on his mutable, and it all leads to his Mercury. So, and it leads to his Jupiter too. Let's just say that it leads to here. A lot of water, a lot of some earth. Okay, so that's a quickie. Yeah, it's probably heavily premeditated. All of this is. It's like for them to agree to do whatever. They're signing rules and shit. It's fucking sucks, to be honest, man. I'm so over all this. I mean, it's haven't started yet, and here I am doing a thing on it. All right, so there's a quickie here. Okay, so let's go to somebody else. Let's go to the Gemini himself, the master Gemini, because he is, whether he knows it or not. Dude fucking works it. He works it. Okay. He's not stupid in a sense. Are they both at a certain age? Yes. But for me, I'm the type of person where I will look at a situation. If I was playing chess, I'm a gamer, or more than that, like not just playing video games, but I've been in competitive situations in my life that I like in games or certain sports or whatever. I'm the type of person who will look at who's across the table from me, and I will not be like, oh, I'm going to beat this person, blah, blah, blah. I won't say that first. I will observe, and I'm going to see like, okay, what's their gifts and their talents? I have to respect that. I have to respect the game, right? Respect the person, what they have. Then I'll dissect the shit and dismantle. So, but first, it's like, I'm going to respect the Donald Trump game for what he's done in his life and how he's used being a Leo rising and his Gemini sun. And the dude is fucking knows how to work it. What does he know how to work? He knows how to get out of every situation as a master manipulator. And he knows how to break the rules, bend the rules, and use the rules to his advantage. And he actually will be honest about it sometimes. Sometimes. Most of the time, it's a lot of dark hidden stuff. But all politicians are good at this. Biden's good at it too, but I'm just giving Donald his due. He's slippery. And no matter everything that's happened, he's Mr. Regulus, fixed star Regulus. He's blessed and protected in a lot of ways. So anyway, saying that, Gemini sun, right on his node. Let's just point it out, okay? Let's just point out, see where his Mercury is. Another 12th house person with Mercury in Cancer in the 12th. So I just think this, I wasn't going to do this, but when I was looking at the charts, I'm like, oh my God, there's this Cancer water connection that's going on and it's wild, okay? So I was like, all right, he's got that. And look he's got Saturn and Venus. He definitely has a story about his value. Right, his value. And Saturn and on his Venus, in the sense of what happened with his father and everything, he's always had the kind of like, always has this thing, had to prove himself, even though we've been born with a fucking golden spoon in his mouth. This whole thing with it, he doesn't like being fronted, like his ego's involved. Then he's got, Leo rising, Pluto in there, whatever. Okay, but just pointing some stuff out here. Gemini, what rules it? Mercury and Cancer in the 12th. Saturn and Venus. Now you see why I went live. If it's just a Cancer Piscean story tonight, again, the past, what is for individually and what it is the past for the country and what its foundations are built on. I know you're going to hear this because, whoever came up with Make America Great Again, that kind of shit from before, but still, that's going into the past. The premise and basis for the party, the people who support Donald Trump, all has to do with the past. It has nothing to do with the future. They have future plans on wanting to do crazy shit and really lock down the country in a lot of ways from a hyper, super Christian model, evangelistic model. Big part of it. Then there's the other model, though, that's from the past, actually. And the other part of the past is how this country was founded and then what happened afterwards. And a lot what happened afterwards was based on industry and what happened during slavery. And if you don't get this in your head, that this country is based on people taking off from somewhere else and coming here, but eventually what this country's been founded and worked on and whatever successes, it has to do with slavery in the South and the industry and the money that was involved and all the rules that were there. And it's coming back full circle if you haven't noticed. So the past is the deal tonight. So I'm curious to see how it's going to come up. And, again, there's the Cancer story. So let's just put up, again, I was just not going to be, I don't care what people think about how I'm doing this or whatever, I just did this on the fly. So where the hell is where's the chart I had? But please come up. No, that's 2 Donalds. That's transits. What? I thought I saved my chart. Hold on a second, man. See, I gotta talk to the Astro Gold people because there's some weird shit that happens. So okay. Let me go do something here. You're not gonna see because it's my reasons why. Open. I thought I saved the chart for tonight on my damn thing. So let me call it Prez. I did. And there it is. So, all right. Here we go. So let's keep it simple. Here on the outside is the deal. Now, you had Biden, who's got Saturn on the bottom of his chart, opposing the top of his chart. It's MCIC. And then you got Uranus in Taurus here that's doing it to Donald's top of his chart and the bottom of his chart. The foundations, who they are publicly, is the authority on whatever. Anyway, okay, so let's keep going. So you could see that the Sun in Cancer is on his Mercury, that Venus and obviously Mercury are there. He's been having a Mercury return. Mercury's on his Venus. Pretty bodes well, actually. And then here is the 19 his Saturn. It's applying trining to his Saturn he's going through and to his Venus. The moon on paper looks pretty good for him. The only thing that doesn't is Saturn squaring his sun, and it's stationing there, and it's not quite there yet. But Saturn is squaring his node, blah, blah, blah. That is the thing right there that I was looking at. The other thing I will say, and if you see anything else, give me a second here. Yeah, I see you all in chat. Hi, Esmeralda. And Esmeralda said they want to do Colonies 2.0. That's funny, actually, because that's where we're dealing with states' rights, and it's basically already colonies. You see from a law perspective of what's happened with abortion rights. If you go look at what's happened the last couple of years with some of the rights changing in some of the states, like some of the colonies do this and some of them don't. It's like if you want to call them colonies, I think that's hilarious, by the way. Steffi G says, Ann Ortley predicts something interesting will happen around 922. That's good. Ann uses a lot of stuff in her charts, a lot of asteroids and stuff. That'd be interesting to look at. So, Mandy, let me do this here. So, part of me is thinking about changing the way I do my streams to show this on here. What did I say? Mandy says, I think Mercury and Venus in Cancer can make people feel sorry for you. They can, especially in the 12th. It's almost subconscious sympathy for the others. Yeah, I could see that. Or, yeah, and you're also bringing in people like that who want you to feel sorry for them. So it can go back, I think, both ways. I think 12th house is a very interesting place in that sense. So, Megan Obendahl, hello. All right. So let me do one more thing in chat. I'm checking. Stephanie King says the U.S. would be nothing without the blood, sweat, and tears and lives of many ancestors. Reparations aren't enough. No, they'll never be enough. But I wouldn't be surprised in the next 5 to 10 years if the reparations narrative and things were to change a little bit on that end. I think that's a long game right there, and stuff like that does not happen immediately. Things like this happen in steps, and it takes generations to change something like that, and mindsets of generations to change it, because one person can come in and talk about it and then doesn't mean shit. The citizens as a whole and generations as a whole have to come in and change it from the ground level up. So that's my opinion. You supposedly vote in politicians who represent that, but you have to have many who are in line with that. It's definitely not happening now, But this doesn't just go back to slavery. This has to do with the Chinese. This has to do with my Latino brothers and sisters in our history, immigrants in the sense from whole, and there's a lot going on here. So, but that's the basis of our country here. This is what's in play. So anyway, just checking on chat. So Trumpy, actually, I like to do it this way. Right now, with the outside, you see Saturn and Saturn squaring his moon and the sun during this. You see it trining his Venus. It's applying. You see Uranus sextiling his Venus. And you see what I'm pointing out earlier. Mercury, Jupiter square, and that's what we're probably going to see tonight from his mouth. Is that. And you also see that Jupiter is squaring his Venus. I'm not going to keep going here about Pluto, Venus, because I don't think that plays out tonight. I'm just looking at whatever. But what I'm really looking at are the quickies. And then let's just look at this, because I think here, this is where it pops off, where the moon is squaring his moon and the moon squares his Gemini sun. And as any Gemini knows and has been paying attention to the transits ever since Jupiter has jumped in, I don't think it's been easy for a lot of Geminis. I think they've had a lot of good stuff happen to them depending on where Jupiter's come in. But I think because of Saturn and what's happening with Saturn and the degrees at where it's at and the story of the Jupiter-Saturn squares they're building up to in August, that I think for anybody Gemini, they're not going to be on point as they usually are, and they're going to have to reconfigure and slow the F down. And when you have mutable squares happen, it can throw things way off. So that is my opinion on that. I'm not making predictions. No one wins these presidential debates. There's no winner anymore. Okay, so let's just get that out of the way. There's no winner. But I think it's interesting. I've been talking here and what's come up, that this is in Atlanta and the history of the South and of Georgia itself, and what Atlanta is and what Georgia is in itself in the last presidential election, in the counties there that kind of turn things over for the Democratic end, but on the outside, what it is with the history in the past that falls more into the Trump world of things. And so again, the home, family, security, the past, emotional connection to the prospective parties from their candidates. Alexander says, foot and mouth syndrome, definitely a foot. It totally is. So Joe G talks about indigenous peoples. Yes. I am not going to bust out Sibley charts. I don't want to go there, to be honest, because I don't agree with the Sibley chart. And if the true mundane astrologers who I respect out there know that there's multiple charts to go on the U.S. history, so I'm not going to go on the Sibley chart. I'm not going to do it. People that I respect have different charts at different times when things were signed at different times along the way from when this country was created. I think it's very interesting, and it's a spot I'm not going to go in and pontificate on, because I don't think I'm leveled out with it and as good as other people can do it. And I have to watch when I do these things, because people get all riled up. You didn't talk about this, or you didn't see that. I just had it happen the other day. I did a thing on the Julian Assange's chart, and there's always some people chiming in. For good, but there was always some shit that happened. So for me, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to leave it to those in the astrology world who have been doing this for a while and who I respect. A lot of them are old schoolers that are on Facebook and mundane astrology groups on Facebook, and I really respect what they do. And they still haven't agreed to what the charts are, just so you know. So anyway, so I have my biases. I actually don't like both of the candidates, okay, in the sense of what's happened in this country. So I'm going to vote, that's for sure. But I'm not one of these people like, I'm not going to vote because of whatever. But I try to step out and look. I think that the true test tonight is that Biden stays straightforward, and as clear and simple as possible. Donald's never going to do that. And it's part of the reason why he is popular, and it's part of the reason why I think he won the election against Hillary. Hillary made a fatal mistake, the campaign did. They didn't gauge the social thing that was building up for years on the internet, on the dark end of the internet. And my opinion, and people are going to get pissed at me with this because I can't stand Democratic Party. They have lost their ethics. If they go more towards the unionization mode, which they are kind of, they could be doing this. I'm with it. But it's when she said deplorables, lost the election, lost, and it because basically it lit a fire against people who couldn't stand the establishment. And Donald's part of it, but he presented himself that way. So his off-the-cuff way of being, his not formalization, worked to his advantage and still does to this day, even though we know that the fabrications that have come out of that side of it. So that's the thing. And it's like if Joe sticks to who he is and the manner of things, of the formalization, the clearness of the message, getting at the heart of the matter, I could see things looking really good. But again, if he's like deer in the headlights on the camera, there's a mishap that happens in the middle of a sentence where there's a big pause. These stupid little things are the things that are going to get magnified. So, that is the key, I think, for someone like Biden tonight is, can you do it? So, that's my quick thoughts. Stephanie King says Atlanta's a hot mess politically. It always has been a hot mess. Atlanta's always a hot mess. The whole country's a hot mess. Anyway, so I'm looking at chat and blah 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 blah. Okay, let me do something really quick here. I can't even see. All right, there we go. But let's just finish here. I'm 42 minutes in because I don't want to go past an hour. That's for sure because I gotta roll. So, okay, one more thing. Let's just check here. The other thing I think that is in one way to his advantage to keep doing what he does is Jupiter and Gemini. So, for me, he's going to triple down on the way he does shit. I don't see Mr. Trump changing his deal. As a matter of fact, it's magnified, and it just creates more separation. That's why a debate like tonight and doing this is like people are gonna. Who are you gonna convince? Who are you gonna convince out there? Somebody's like, am I gonna vote for Donald or am I gonna vote for Joe? I mean, really, who are you convincing out there? And if you are convincing somebody who hasn't picked anybody else and they're into conspiracy theories, which are most people these days, to be honest, and like, who are they gonna pick if they decide to vote and they can't decide? And it's, to me, it's like, it has to be put in primal grunting words, quick understanding of something, and then reiterated for the next several months. So for example, better pay. And then they say better pay is just constantly said for the next so many months, right? The China thing's probably going to come up tonight, about things manufacturing at home instead of abroad or sending jobs or whatever. It's like, you're going to say stuff like that. It's like, it has to be in the most grunting primal sense for those most out there who are just going to sit there and like just have to have something repetitively beat into their head. So basically, those are my opinions. Now, if it's not just into their head, does it hit their survival instincts and their survival core? Right. And this goes back to, for me, about this Piscean and Cancer connection, that it's about that. Can Biden hit the core of somebody emotionally? I think he can. But Trump could do it too. But Trump more does it. It's a war. And it's a militia. And it's a survival. And that's how he comes across and will. So, there's no winners here. There's no winners. But again, from the chart itself, control and Saturn and the structure of this country, Saturn and Pisces, there's a little bit of the dream here of what it could be, but it's more about how they translate what the dream of the United States, what it was founded and started on. They're going to have their both opinions on this. They might even sound the same, but it's really about here and here for me. I need a circle, don't I? It's really about here. And so I know the Sibley chart might be Cancer rising, by the way, or it's Gemini rising. I don't gonna give a fuck about the Sibley chart. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even want to look at it right now. So I think it's about here and here. Okay? Water. Tomorrow morning, when people come out of the debate, are they going to feel wholesome and protected by Donald Trump? Are they going to feel the same with Joe Biden? The message across about the future of this country? We'll see. Ego, I see you in chat along with Vandanda. It says a funny comment. See how I have to laugh at all this because we're in for a fucking long haul with this shit the next so many months. Vandanda says natal Neptune trine transiting Jupiter make America very, very, very great again. There you go. What's up? I see you. Saturn Venus return. Yep. We got a lot of quotes in here, I see. And a lot of, I could tell the deal. Yeah, that's what's up. Just a quickie. I'm not going to claim the expert on political stuff or whatever. I could spend a lot of time. I'm going to keep doing this through the debate, the thing. And we check in, you know. You don't see me. I'm not going to make a fucking exact prediction or whatever. People, go ahead and do it. Make the predictions. Do it. I don't give a fuck. Someone can make a prediction. Someone can make a death prediction, which people have with these two candidates. And there's this thing going around that not one of them is going to make it to the election. It's always possible. I'm not going to sit there and do this. I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to pride my reputation on that as an astrologer. I'll let other people who just do mundane shit do that. But we're going to see more and more of this and different outtakes. And you know what the interesting thing about all this is with astrology is no matter how objective you could try to be, it's always fucking biased, okay? And I'm swearing today because I just don't care, and I've been swearing a lot lately on my streams, and I don't care, and I just don't care. I do care, but I don't care in that sense. I'm not going to pride my reputation on a presidential election prediction. And I saw something years ago at a major astrology conference that happened where people did this. This is before the Clinton-Trump thing, and I was there. Certain of you out there, I know my colleagues watching, know exactly what I'm talking about and the drama that happened after all that, and to certain things into the conference that we're at when the prediction panel happened. And then everything that happened, Chris, if you're watching, you know what I'm talking about. So, you know, and the things that came afterwards, and certain people took responsibility and certain people didn't, and then whatever. And it pretty much, it's just a lot of drama. Again, you're not going to see me trying to, I need to write a book because I need to do this. So I'm known in the annals of astrological history. I'm not that kind of person. I respect people who do write a book or do certain things because they can't help it. They're hyper-focused and they're obsessed about certain concepts, certain things. And I respect that. But whenever I catch somebody in the astrology world who is sitting there and you know their ego's about, they need to prove something. They need to be the first person who said it. They need to be this and that. It's just like I'm always questioning, like, where does this come from? Why? It's one thing to be obsessed and into just data and to be there and do the astrology like we all inherently are. We love making the correlations, right? But why always question when I see somebody where it's all about that? And so for me, you're not going to catch me doing it. Just not. Hey, Joe G, I'll see you later. Yelena, yes. Steffi G says, dump Mars, Regulus, ascendant conjunction always has him coming back. It does. I'm in agreement with that. The Regulus thing is there. And, you know, remember, we got a Venus and Leo transit that's going to happen here very soon. It's not going to be retrograde. The only thing is Mercury's going to go through a retrograde process in August in Leo. So that's going to happen in his first house. And that's where we can see some funky stuff happen. Feels like the Nate Silver problem. Yeah, Nate, by the way, was so good at what he in the beginning. And then it's just the bias. It's just whatever. All right, so Lucifer, hello. And that is my quick something. Not exciting. Not exciting. I'll tell you something for me here. I had some flooding happen yesterday. I had some flooding happen in my world yesterday. Give me a second. I had to do something here. Reminder. Reminder that tomorrow we go into an Aries moon and we have an applying Mercury square Chiron. We didn't talk about that, but it's interesting is we have this applying Venus sextile Mars that I talked about on my stream earlier this week. It's happening right there during all this. Yeah. Is agriculture going to come up tonight in the stream, in the debate? Who knows? But that is around for you personally till we get to the Neptune or the Saturn station that is going to happen right here. And not April 16th, 1952, but here. Why is it doing that? No, that's what I'm doing. You're not seeing what... No, you're seeing what I'm doing. 23rd, 4th. To here. Little clue, little hiccup. Not hiccup. Saturn stationing Saturday. Neptune stationing on Tuesday. Concentrate on the Pisces part of your chart. Yesterday, today, and until late tonight, if you want to do some deeper thought and meditation on the Pisces part of your chart, I would be doing it right now because it's a clue into the stationing that's happening. We got the moon touching Saturn already and the moon touching Neptune right now as we speak, in between both, and it's basically has touched the places of retrograde narrative that's going to happen for the next so many months here in Pisces. So if you want a good little exercise today and meditation on, and you want to let the water flow, and what I mean by that is, think about water flowing over rocks over time. Think about that. Do I have any water sounds here before I leave? I have duck on a pond. I have elk calls. But I'm looking for... Oh, let's see. I might actually... Oh, I do. Let's see. This is running water. Maybe a little slower than this. Okay? You do that with your Pisces part of your chart right now. And get in tune with that place. Okay? Because that's in play really here in the background of everything this week is Saturn-Neptune stationing. Okay? So that's what's up with me. Time for me to go. Thanks for jumping in. Thanks for some of your opinions in chat and the free-flowing thing to do this. I will check a couple things in chat. Titi and X, good to see you in chat, by the way. Joe G, Yelena, did I get everybody? Sam, Lucy Fur, Holly, like getting rickrolled. Scorpio Muse, talking about floods, literally, spiritually, emotionally. Yeah, if a lot of water happening. Yeah, and Steffi G brings up a good point. In the last 24 hours is grand water trine. Didn't feel like a grand water trine to me last night when I was getting flooded, but that is happening statistically, So, what you're hearing are waves on the ocean, and what you'll be seeing is a green lotus. Ravel, good to see you in chat. Thanks for stopping in on my randomness. James Sanders, thank you for the super chat. Mackenzie and everybody else that's watching. How many? I don't know who the hell's watching. But we got some waves. Again, if the debate was a if the debate was the lotus on the screen that you see with slower water sounds, and they're like, welcome to the first presidential debate of 2024. Before we start our debate, let us drop down into our emotional bodies. Listen to my voice. Listen to the sound of the waves. Let them wash over you. Free your mind. Open your heart. Yeah, see, and they say that concludes the first presidential debate of 2024. Yeah, just don't. You don't want to watch this thing? Don't watch it. Go sit in a bath. If I was gonna do anything tonight, I might. I don't know if I'm gonna watch the debate. I'm gonna go for a walk by the river. That's what I should do. That's gonna be my debate. Should I go left down this block to the river, or go right down this block to the river? All right, y'all. I'll see you later. Let's end with something. Wait. That's wind. This is the presidential debate. That's what that really is. It's really that. See ya.